Does it feel like a long time ago you were here, or does it just feel like yesterday? I mean, it's been quite the journey to get back to that seat right there, right?
Yeah, it feels like a long time. This has been the longest camp in MMA history, probably.
What are your thoughts on? Because we hear, the Ultimate Fighter. It's amazing. It sucks. It's hard. I mean, what's your thoughts on it as you sit here now?
For me, it was the best route available. If I was hoping to get in, the goal was to get to the UFC, and the Ultimate Fighter was just the perfect time and the perfect place to do it. If I was going to try and wait for a Contender Series fight, I'd be here fighting on the Contender Series right now instead of fighting in the UFC. So for me, it was awesome. I loved it. Great experience, and I'm really glad I did it.
Did you find it challenging at all, just the atmosphere and being in there and being kind of detached from society?
For me, no. I actually really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people in the house had some struggles, and it was kind of breaking a lot of people. I'm a little bit older than most of the other contestants, so I grew up without a phone. I grew up without internet, so just reminded me of my childhood being in there, honestly.
Nice. Well, obviously, you've known you were going to be here a lot longer than we've known, so what did you do in the meantime? I mean, did you get off the show, is it immediately into training camp, or is it like we got to take a break and rest and recover? Like, what was your process?
So I immediately got to training. I specifically, since I'm fighting at heavyweight, wanted to put on some size, and having 5-6 months is the perfect amount of time to do that. So I got into a heavy lifting program to put on a little bit of extra muscle before I started a real, fight camp.
Yeah. Do you feel like that is your future? Is it heavyweight, or do you feel like light heavyweight is your future? What's your thoughts?
So there's a lot of heavyweights that were signed during COVID that I'd really like to beat up, and I don't think are very good. But when I say that I want to be the UFC champion, I mean the light heavyweight champion.
Do you want to start calling those guys out by name right now, or do you wait till you get in the UFC?
Oh, I'll tell you their names right now. Parker Porter, I don't even know his first name, Collier. I don't know if it's Justin or Jared. But yeah, Jake, these guys have just been, they got lucky that they had the fights when COVID was going, and they just needed anyone who could show up and fight. And after I beat Muhammad, I would love to come in and beat those guys too.
Making waves already. I like it. All right, talk about Muhammad as an opponent. What do you think about his skills and what challenges he presents for you?
So I know Muhammad really well, actually. We trained together for 2 years before the show, and we're on the same team on the show. He's super explosive, and he's super strong. And so at heavyweight, he's got what every heavyweight has. He can put your lights out at any second.
Does that experience that you guys have together, does it favor either one of you, or does it make it difficult at all? I mean, it is weird that you guys have known each other so well, and now you're in the finals, right?
Yeah, I knew this was what the finals were going to be. Day one, when we both got accepted to the show, I knew this is what it was going to be unless they made us fight each other on the show. And the knowledge favors me, in my opinion, because I know how fast he is, I know how strong he is, and that's what he brings to the game. He knows that I'm better than him, and there's nothing he can do about that.
What do you think the energy is going to be like when the fight starts, right? I feel like sometimes when guys are real familiar with each other, it kind of starts out as like a little bit of a sparring session or whatever, but there's a lot on the line here in terms of you guys getting in the UFC. So do you anticipate like kind of a feeling out process to start, or do you anticipate it being like a very intense matchup at the beginning?
So I'm definitely going to feel him out. We're both going to see if we've learned anything in the last 5 months. But if you guys have watched Muhammad fight, you know that he only really has one speed, and that's spazzing and chucking heat. So I'm going to try and pull that out of him early.
You have the best low-key shit talk I've seen in a while. And I think prediction for you. I mean, how do you see this fight going? As you said, I mean, you guys are incredibly familiar with each other. So how do you see this thing playing out? Is this going to be, kind of a long fight? Do you think it happens quickly? Like, what kind of matchup do we see?
So every second that ticks on that clock is in my favor. I'm not going to go out there and just swing and bang early with Muhammad. I'm going to try and drag him into deep waters late and finish him in the third round.
What was the weirdest thing that happened in the house?
So they didn't show a lot of the weird stuff that happened. Helen Peralta weighed in her first weigh-in. She weighed in shirtless. She weighed in with her shirt off, just with tape over her nipples. And I thought it was hilarious and was going to be on the show, but they cut that. They made her they let her get the weight, drink some water, but then made her film a weigh-in with her shirt on, and then that's when they aired. So there was tons of crazy stuff that never even made it to TV.
What's something that something that happened to you that did not make it on the show?
So I'm trying to think of anything interesting. You know, I came from a law enforcement background, and there was a lot of pig jokes and a lot of people making fun of me for being a cop and things like that. But, you know, none of that made it on the show. I don't know why either, but they kind of kept most of the drama off the show this season for some reason.
How was it being in London with Curtis?
It was great. So, you know, me and Curtis have the same coaches and the same training partners, and he took my coaches and my training partner, so I had to go for my camp to keep going. But it was great. London was a great town, got some good work in, and, you know, it was a very strange fight, but at the end of the day, a win's a win, so it was all good all around.
How did you think that fight was going to play out? If it went past the first 15 seconds?
So if you watch that 15 seconds, that fight was not getting out of the first round one way or another. Tom was coming so aggressively and throwing at such a high volume and pace that Curtis was either going to catch him early or he was going to get whatever his game plan was going. That fight wasn't going 25 minutes.
Well, thank you.